Hello. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Hold on, I want to get our guest, John, here. Get your coffees, your matchas, your teas ready. I haven't done this in a while. All right, so where do I add him? Oh, here it is. Hold on, there he is. Boom. Okay. Hold on one second. Where is he, though? Oh, here he's coming. Hello.
Hello there.
Hi,
Hello
John.
there.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. Good
You're
morning. How are you?
you're
Am I
turned
fine?
sideways. You're sideways.
Hang on. Hang on. That's the instrument. Here we are. Here we are. Here we are. Here we are.
Now you're upside down.
Oh, I'm not. Ah.
Well,
Simon.
welcome. I'm gonna welcome my friends for showing up this morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I sort of had this epiphany in the last few weeks and then last week, and then I had this conversation with John. And so I decided to, we decided to just get this going and start talking and start sharing, so many feelings that I think we're all going through right now. And I just have so many questions, and I keep wanting to just have deep conversations with people. So I decided to do this over morning coffee or matcha or our tea, and and chat about things that are affecting us every single day in our world. And so thank you for joining me and us. We'll jump in. This is my dear friend John MacNutt.
Good morning.
So hi, John.
Hi. Hi.
Happy to see you
And you.
on upside up, on the right side up. So John is what one would say an ancestral healer, right, John? Or how would you describe what you do?
Well, ancestral healing is a part of what I do, but it's a big part of what I do. I consider myself a therapist, and I have a background in psychology, and I add to that neuroscience and spirituality. But I think probably for people today, it might be easier to concentrate on that aspect of it, especially in terms of sort of what we want to have a look at today. Ancestral healing, I mean, very simply, is a recognition that events in the past define much of how we live today. And therefore, if we can do something about that, then we can change our experience now. It can have a profound and radical effect on our relationships, et cetera, et cetera. I think many people are just simply unaware of it.
Right.
People just don't, really in their understanding yet if once one looks into it, more and more people are becoming aware of that. Yeah.
Well, I think it was about 6 years ago when I was introduced to you through a friend who suggested that I do ancestral healing, and I did not know what that was. And I'm so grateful to this friend for the introduction, because the first conversation John and I had, what he does is he has an ability to be able to go into sort of our lineage, right? So our mother's side and our father's side, and see generational things. And so and we can talk about your gift later, but that experience for me was so profound. There were things that came up that really no one would know. They were childhood feelings and memories that I went through, and things that really needed healing. And it really changed my life. And so we have ongoing conversations, but one of the things that right now you and I have talked a lot about recently is just the state of our world. And so I want to focus on that today. And I want to focus on specifically, this is not, let me just be very clear, this is not a political forum. This is a healing forum. Okay, so let's say that right off the bat. Our intention is only, and your intention, I know, is only to use the past as a tool to understand how we got here and why sometimes we are triggered or you know, by our individual past, but also collectively. You know, we are living in communities together. You know, you live in France, but I live in the United States, and this is a democracy. We are all different. Everyone is different. You know, and the acceptance of that is something that I just sort of felt like in 2024 we would be here. You know, I was raised in a community of such diversity in religion, in race, and everything. So I was never taught any difference of anything. Like we're all together. We're on the planet together. So my heart and my mind always go to how can we come together to make our lives more peaceful, more joyful. How can we have more empathy and more compassion and understanding for others? And so I feel like we're in such a strange time. Not strange. I feel like this is a maddening time. It's an awful sort of energy going on, because I feel that there are so many tools now, even more so than ever, because of technology and social media and everything else, to divide us.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? To divide us.
Absolutely.
And that is so worrisome. You know, I was very sad over these last months about just the rise of anti-Semitism. And why? Why are we having this conversation? It's so divisive. It's so not right. And this isn't just about, you know, what's going on in Israel and the Israel and Hamas and Palestinian situation. This is just the hate, the violence, hearing some of the stuff coming out of young people's mouths who have maybe never even been to that part of the world, probably haven't, have no idea about the history. And even if whether you are Jewish or Palestinian or anything else, even if your family comes from another country, which most likely they do, like my own family, yes, there are generational things that your parents have brought over and your grandparents have brought over. So we do feel those things, right? We want to defend our own. But I just feel like I was hoping that we've come further than that. And so I'm scared. And what I want to do now is I would love for you to tap into your source and your thing that you do, and just tell me what you see about, you know, where we're at and what we could do to help sort of bridge this a bit. And I'm not saying the political part, because none of us are in control of that. You know, I'm not in control of the government of any country, not including our own. But humanly, how can we learn to have compassion for our differences, even when they're painful and they're generationally painful?
Generationally painful, yeah, absolutely. I think the first thing is for people to understand with ancestral healing is that until something is healed, it will repeat itself. We often use the expression history always repeats itself. So what we're seeing shouldn't surprise us in the sense of insult follows insult, murder follows murder, hatred and unforgiveness continue down the generations. If you add into that the social, the political, the economic, you've got a combustible situation there. But aside from that, we need to add what I think are three particular issues, which I want to look into as well, which is that what you mentioned, some of them, which is the negative aspect of social media is there. Also, I want to look at globalization and also the effect of individualism. And then we can see, once we realize the impact that those three things are having on us, why we are seeing the irrationality that we're seeing at the moment, the inexplicable that is there. But once you understand those four aspects, then it will begin to make sense. I mean, would it be helpful if I use the gift so people are able to see, to have some
I
indication? Would that?
think that I think if you're up to it and you can, that would be really wonderful.
Of course, of course. So for those watching, the particular gifting uses something called visual imagery. And visual imagery simply means that this gift takes my imagination and turns it into a TV screen. And so what I can do, normally I do that on an individual basis. What we're doing today is that what Sasha and I are attempting to do is to use a gift on a collective basis. So in other words, we're looking into the collective unconscious of particular situations. So I'd like to have a look at the collective unconscious of social media. I want to see what's going on there. I want to have a look at the collective unconscious of America at the moment, so we can see what's happening in America. I think this also probably be helpful to look at the collective unconscious of what's happening in the Middle Eastern situation. As Sasha said, we're coming from a position, it is a forum of healing. There isn't a political aspect to this at all. We are disturbed that people are losing sight of each other, losing sight of each other, and losing the capacity to see in each other a brother soul, a sister soul. The disappearance of all compassion, love, and understanding. I sometimes seeing what's going on in the depth of our collective unconscious just makes sense of things, because above that are all the hurts. Above that is the pain, the trauma, etc. When we go underneath that, we can look and see if we can lift out the roots, or at least look at what the roots are. So I've done what I normally I will do a protection prayer, which is a formality of 30 seconds. 10 seconds more. I've done that already, so I'm going to go straight in. It requires that I close my eyes. So I close my eyes, and afterwards I will explain, I will kind of elaborate a little bit on what I've seen. But this is just for everybody. So I'll go as I'm led, as I normally do. I think as I say, the situation, probably the first situation we can look at is the negative aspect of social media. I'm now in the collective. I'm unconscious. I think what I see in the disturbing aspects, because of course there will be positive, is that what people think is happening is the very opposite of what is happening, which is that what it's promising to bring people together is dividing people when you look at it, because you can look inside the souls of the collective soul of those using social media, is that people are being emptied in a sense of their own thinking, of their own feeling, of their own seeing. They're seeking a identity through that. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because we hear IP, internet, it's almost like a false identity promise. And that people lose themselves more and more, because instead of it doing what it promises, which is to bring to people, it's actually dividing people from themselves, dividing them from each other, and therefore dividing communities. You can see, and of course you can see the sense interiorly in the collective soul of the confusion, the fear, the sadness, the anxiety, and the loneliness in people, because it's not achieved. It's not bringing people what they're hoping and I'm looking for. We'll look at that at the end, because I want to. Sasha and I will talk about what's the solution to that. What is this? And there is a solution. There is a way through here. So that's social media. I think the important word there is emptying. People aren't being filled using social media excessively. The average daily use by 13 to 18 year olds is 8 hours 49 minutes. 8 hours 49. Let us remind ourselves that the brain takes 25 years to develop. So a child's brain isn't able to deal with that amount of information from a sort of attention point of view, from a memory point of view, social interaction point of view. In a way, when you look at that interiorly, the way to deal with it is the very opposite. What people are losing is connection. What does connection bring? Connection brings fullness. It's the opposite. It's not emptying, it's filling. It's filling. And there people reconnect with themselves, reconnect with each other. So we'll look at that. We'll look at that afterwards, Sasha and I. The next aspect globalization, I can feel actually, because it makes you shake all over, is that what globalization is doing is erasing people's originality and uniqueness.
Oh, sure.
That's what it's doing. It's erasing people's. You can feel it interiorly. And just think about this. It is the beauty of the individual, the uniqueness and originality. It is the uniqueness and originality of communities, of states, of countries. I want to see a state looking like Tennessee, that they're proud of it, or Oklahoma, or New York. Or I want to see Italians looking like Italians, Swiss looking like Italians. I want to see people proud of their countries, their communities, their dress sense, the way they think, their values, not this erasing. And that we all follow something, as I say, we're all pursuing something. What are we actually pursuing? It's erasing our individual, local, national identities. So there's something. Look, and you can feel what is in that is tremendous fear and anxiety in people. And I want to look at this because this explains the irrationality. When you link globalization now to what we look at next, which is the American problem, which is individualism is taking over. And when individualism take over, as you see it in a family, it divides, it polarizes. An extreme version of that is the spoiled child syndrome. There is I want what I have, and then anything and everyone becomes a threat. Now you put the three things together, emptied out, erasing what is unique and original. You've got a effectively more and more an empty vessel, and that's where dangerous narratives just flow through because people have got nothing to hold on to. Mm-hmm. So instead of attaching to each other, attaching to wonderful American values, united we stand, divided we fall. Now people attach to anything, so things that are completely irrational, which are coming through, and it sits on top of their unhealed hurts, their unfulfilled, and then it just has vent. After that, I want to look at because it's probably the most controversial. Is here we're coming from a position of love is the crisis in the Middle East, which everyone is desperately distressed. Which you can feel the pain the pain in the Jewish and the Palestinian souls. Sorry, because you can feel the collective pain there. We have to go very deep because the roots are an ancient problem. They're deep into the Jewish soul. We begin with the Jewish and then with the Palestinian. Our brothers and sisters walking the planet together. Each with equal dignity, beauty and dignity before God and before each other. So what is it there sitting, what I see, for people to take or to leave in a sense, but what I see in the Jewish, I have many Jewish clients, and in Palestine, my best man was a Palestinian, is what I see in the Jewish soul is this belief that their Palestinian brothers and sisters do not have the equal place in the heart of God, and that is broken God's heart. Is there the response of that in the Palestinian soul, beneath all the injustices, beneath all the conflicts that we see underneath it, or is to lose sight, therefore, in their Jews as their brothers and sisters. If you cannot see that I have an equal right in the heart of God, then I do not see you any longer as a brother or a sister. Because begin to feel the pain, and pain, it has to come out, because it's like opening an open sore. The pus has to come out more of, and that. But pain into potential into power, power into personhood, personhood into purpose. That once again, the possibility is there for brothers and sisters to see each other again as brothers and sisters, sisters. That there's something bigger than your differences. The one you came from, the familial likeness is in each other. That we can look in each other and say, I see it. We're one family. Whether people believe or not, whether we believe we're the family of man or we're the family of God, that we can look at each other and say, I see the likeness. I see in you. In you, I see myself. I see. Even as a kid, long before I had my own personal awakening, I knew what I didn't like about other people, I didn't like about myself. I always knew that. It was telling me something. So you feel that I'm here, coming. You can feel more and more the release and the relief and the beginning of peace. Is that when we are in unity again, the word community, com means together, unity, well, we know, together, in unity, community is the beginning of the possibility. The idea is sown into our heart and into our unconscious. The main message of this final seeing really is that we're all equal in the heart. Well, we all hold the same place. We're all the favorite of God. God has no what do you call it, partisanship or preference. We're all the favorite. Therefore, there's no competition. I'm there. Good. I think we'll be a moment. Okay.
But John, in the no competition, it's like when we talk about ancestral healing, we talk about how, we are either through religion or culture or anything, there's so many things that are put inside of us, even just like in our own lives, the way we're raised, the way our parents love us is how we learn to love.
Yeah, absolutely.
So all over the world, and we're talking here, you've touched on obviously Israel and Palestine because that's sort of something that's going on, but we have Ukraine, we have Africa, we have Russia, we have so many things that are going on everywhere, and we have so many issues here in the United States as well. And in an election year, it's really, really concerning about how we come to how we just try to come to some understanding that we're all in it together.
Yes, right.
Like that's the piece. Like it's so hurtful. It so breaks my heart when I see such hatred. That I would see hatred on any side. Right now we're seeing a rise in anti-Semitism, but if it was Islamophobia, if it was against Christians, anything, it's the hatred is painful. And I just want to, instead of falling into the darkness of some of those thoughts, or if I get online and I start looking at these horrible images, which are so painful for all of us as human beings to see anything as awful as the stuff that we see these days. Like in the past, we weren't exposed to some of the visuals that we are today. And now, my children have access to it. It's horrible. And so when you're seeing those kinds of things, they're in your mind. They're in your collective mind. You carry them with you. And that's just so upsetting. It's so upsetting because I want the governments of everywhere to be better so that they look after us, and that's just not the reality. So I guess my question to you is, like, if we take that and we look at the US right now, there's so much divisiveness, there's even just so much rhetoric and so many things that people just put together, little things online, and people don't know the difference between what is true and what it's not. A lot of it is just people's opinions and points of view, which everyone has the right to, of course, but there's no rhyme or reason to it anymore. It's just out there. So how can we combat this? Like, what is there anything that I don't know. I mean, we're not the first generation that's dealing with ancestral issues and generational issues. So how did we get past it before? What happened?
But the problem is that we didn't have these other influences. The most important being social media, because what it's doing to the human personality. Before, in a sense, in a sort of loose sense, all we had was each other. And therefore we had values that guided us back in our relationship, corrected us in our relationship, whether people went to a friend, to a rabbi, to a priest, etc.
Right.
Everything brought about what's happening with social media now. It's not doing that because if we follow what I was just describing a moment ago, it's not training people to connect anymore. It's actually disconnecting people from themselves and from each other. That's really the way the way forward now. Once you recognize that from there, then you make a decision. Each person can make a decision now. Okay, the way to flourish to get together is to connect. Is the depth of connection. I'm losing that connection through social media. You look at what is going on in the brain there. People's attention span is smaller. People's social skills are worsening. We want people to come back to authentic connection. And what we're saying to social media is join us in that. Show us a way where that can be used that actually help people to connect. You know, we're not trying to dismiss it or get rid of it. Because once you understand that connection is fullness, connection is abundance, is that we find it in that. We find ourselves in each other, you see, in loving each other.
That's
and
beautiful. We find ourselves in each other. That's so beautiful. It's true.
You may remember the words of Mother Teresa. She said, which is a beautifully expression, is we are each other's greatest gift. We belong to each other. Is I think when people realise that more and more, when you choose to put another person first and you choose to think about what makes that person happy, just feel what happens to your face immediately. You start smiling because you're thinking about them happy. Look at a happy face in the morning when you get up in the mornings. You feel rest of it, because we learn through imitation learning. So we have mirror neurons. We're trained in that. So it isn't that complicated to do it. Just to study another person's happiness. How can I make you happy? And then you begin to realize that, hang on a minute here, I'm a creator of another person's happiness, another person's peace, another person's joy, and therefore a creator of their future. Is there you realize that more and more. And there already is unity. It's community. The moment you put another person first, you create a tiny bit of community, and then it goes more and more. And what I would love to see is all community leaders having a say on how social media is used. How can it benefit the community? How can it benefit the individual? How can it promote this, as you were talking about earlier, love, what do you call it, mutual love and understanding? How can it help people grow in appreciating others, respecting others, seeing the uniqueness and originality?
Well, it's also very hard when there's, people are suffering.
Yeah.
I'm looking at some of the comments that we have coming in here, and people are suffering. I had a conversation with a friend recently, and she was mad at another friend, and that person was behaving in an angry way. And during that conversation, we had this kind of breakthrough, which was just, or not breakthrough, but I said to her, I said, sometimes being a good friend just means allowing people to feel those feelings that they have.
Absolutely.
And letting them move through it at their own pace.
Yeah.
And then we wait, right? We wait for hopefully the light and the love to come in and to help. People are, it's I have this mug, it says happy, okay? Yeah. But on the back side, it says, hello, cruel world. And I just saw that this morning. I was like, but it is that. I think that we're complicated, and human beings are complicated, and we have a complicated world that we're in. And I want to be clear in saying that, we are not, I think the new generations, because somebody wrote, oh, you guys are blaming the younger generation. That's not true. Social media and technology is not the fault of younger generations. It's the fault of older generations. We created it. Yeah. So that's not the fault of younger. I have a 17-year-old daughter, and I think she's brilliant. I think the way she sees the world is actually beautiful, because the openness in which she accepts people without judgment, without sort of these boundaries of what people are capable of, no matter who you are. That is something very now. And I think that is what I hope that we can get through to all young people. Because before we are, you know, you don't have to obviously travel somewhere in the world to understand the conflict or take a stand. Of course not. However, when the vitriol and the volatility and the violence enters our society on a day-to-day basis in a place that, frankly, I don't know, I guess I just wonder, like, how can you, you know, when you have like town halls and you have forums and you have people almost cry out their pain. I mean, that's what I wish would happen. Because I think unless we are accepting of everyone, I don't know that we can. It's hard to get there, right? Even just with our friend or a family member, how often we have a disagreement with a family member that is so painful to us that we just can't get over it, right? It takes one of those people to forgive and forget, or it takes somebody to just really truly rise past all of it to come together and be able to move forward. I love what you do, John, because I think that talk therapy is limited in terms of like how deep we can go, right? We only have that space. I think it's helpful, but I feel like with the work that you do in digging into just the past and the soul and the collective, I think allows us to open our minds to healing beyond what's just in front of us right now.
Absolutely.
And to understand that we are part of a greater, you know, experience. We're one little piece. This, you know, you and I are just these little, we all are just these little, you know, ants on the planet that are roaming around and hoping to sort of, you know, connect and find love and joy and family and peace and friends and purpose, like all of the things that everyone wants. So I really love what you do. I really do. I always find it very enlightening, and I always feel like you come from such a place of love for people, even when you see all the darkness is a strong word, but even when you just see all of the, let's say, I don't know, what would you say, like the things that sort of make up who they
disorder,
are, right?
Brokenness.
The brokenness. So I wish there was more people like you seeing the brokenness of the planet and being able to kind of step in and forgive people, and, you know, and be able to hug it out, I guess. But maybe I'm just, you know, I'm positive.
No.
And I want to bring positivity and lightness to, you know, everything. So, you know.
One of the aspects I love about American culture is therapy culture, because it's this America's ability to open itself in its brokenness and allow someone to come into that, to bring healing. Because much of my work really is picking up the pieces, because underneath people are so often in pieces. It's relieving, it's taking responsibility for what's happened in people's past. I think a lot of people feel that nothing ever will, and no one ever will, and that changes people's. I mean, one of the problems we have, isn't it, in the modern world, modern society, is this problem with unaccountability. This lack of assuming responsibility. I think when we step forward for healing, that's us saying, each of us is, I want to be the best me. I know that as I stand, I want to be a better person for the people around me. And I also know that I can only heal people to the level I've been healed myself. So, you know, I need to keep moving. Whereas the idea of staying,
John, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but somebody just wrote that some things have caused so much trauma that one could never forgive them and get past them. And I don't believe that.
Neither do I. Well, my so first of all, I've dealt with people who have had left me speechless, the kind of trauma that they've been through. My experience has been it's a wonderful expression, is that even better can come out of what has happened if it hadn't happened at all. And otherwise that has the last word. The trauma has the last word. My experience is that trauma never has the last word, just regardless of the horror, the cruelties that people have suffered. And that comes down to the person themselves, the bravery of that person, the willingness to choose to forget. I remember years ago when I was a child watching After Sarek, which is close to home for yourself, because of the Serbian, the Croatian, and the conflict there, the girls that had unfortunately been violated, and you saw two sisters together, and one of them had chosen to forgive, and one of them hadn't. And you could see that the one who'd chosen to forgive, her life would move forward, the other one was moving backwards. Her life was becoming smaller, more the poor thing, because of the horror of both. The same thing had happened to both. One had chosen to respond in forgiveness, one had chosen to respond in unforgiveness. So you see it comes down. So I hope for that person, they realize that you can take that and turn that into healing. You know, the most dreadful things, because if it is dreadful, that means you can speak into the deepest trauma of other people's lives. You know, that person can be used in that way.
When we talk about generational trauma, it's the idea that, just to be super clear, it's the idea that like our ancestors, like our parents and our grandparents and so forth, have passed on. Like things do get passed on, right? And so, but your belief is that when we acknowledge those things, when we tap into those things, then we are able to break those cycles, right?
Completely.
We're able to break those cycles. And so forgiving is not really an option. It is a necessity to survive. It's a necessity to move forward and evolve. And
Absolutely.
so it is very, like, I believe that all human beings have the ability to do that. We've seen extraordinary people go through traumatic childhoods and come out incredible. I mean, Oprah Winfrey comes to mind, right? Because she's someone that has shared her childhood trauma. I know people like my mother-in-law, Sophia Loren. She literally was in war. She was as a little girl, she lived in a tunnel for a week on bread with her family. They were poor. I mean, she went through war and she came out. And so are these things that remain in us? Of course they do. But can we also sort of accept that we're all here and that we want to see things different? I think we can if we want to. I think we can. I've been confronted with people that have enormous amounts of anger that had nothing to do with me at all. But I had to find the empathy and compassion in me to be able to say, wow, I may not have gone through that, but I can have empathy for them for going through something so painful. And
absolutely.
So, you know, I think that's, I think the thing that maybe, I mean, I think that's the part that I hope for everyone is just to send out, at least even if it's a kernel of an idea, that you enter your day with the openness of knowing that we all have the power to evolve. We all have the power to also, you know, rise above our cultural, religious beliefs or family, not even just that, but like even family structures that were unhealthy, and being able to say, wow, that doesn't feel good. Like, I'm going to change how I feel about that, you know? And I think that's the thing, like when I say that I see, you know, I was disappointed to see at universities here in America, some young people, not that they're protesting or not that they're taking stands. It's not that. It's just, there's also been a hatred and a violence that is coming out that I'm like, how, why? Like, this is not a kid that was raised in any other country. And so why is this sort of bringing out this? And so it is hard for me to believe that it's not something else, right? There's not bigger powers trying to just divide us, because in dividing and splitting people, you get power. They're more powerful. All the governments, they're more powerful by splitting us up. Having us not agree on something pulls us apart from each other. Having us feel afraid, if I'm afraid of you because you live in France and you're afraid of me because I'm in the US, we will not connect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I guess that's my hope, is that every person just opens their mind a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Just a tiny bit to recognize, like, I really do believe, and I think Sigmund Freud said it, that you know, all of the pain and the trauma that we carry, if we don't deal with it, it just it's like it festers inside of us, and it will come out later in uglier ways.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah.
I just don't think anyone wants that. And I don't know how we can be effective in being peacemakers, let's say, anywhere in the world, if we don't start with our own sort of, our individual, like ourselves, and also our communities, you know? So
I agree. You remind me of the way, obviously, Socrates, which is the unexamined life is not worth living. But that raises, what's the solution to that then? The solution is what we talked about earlier, which is that we have values that make us accountable to healing. So that you realize that the things that we in a sense show up for, that we are accountable to, so that we must make that choice. We must make that choice because we have values in our society that call us to that responsibility. I love that idea. That's why we need those values in our society, because they protect us. They ensure that each person shows up. Each person gives their best. We see, in a sense, isn't it, the uniqueness, the originality, the beauty of everybody, all the gifts that are inside each person. And I like the concept of gift, because if you have a gift, it's something you're supposed to give. And therefore, that's what we all need to be, gift givers to each other. When we're gift givers, we create unity and community immediately. And also, gift giving means we're selfless, not selfish. You see, the modern thing is, you know, there are aspects of social media which become very self-obsessed. And self-obsessed is automatic joylessness, you know, like self-entitlement, automatic unthankfulness.
Wait, hold on, repeat that, because that's important. So say that again. So selfishness is automatic joylessness.
Self-obsession
is that what you said?
Joylessness.
Wow.
Self-entitlement is automatic unthankfulness. Yeah. Selfishness is automatic disconnection. So all of these it's very simple. If we're gift givers with wonderful gifts and we become immediately selfless, you've got community, you've got beauty, you've got originality, you start becoming, with the divine, co-creator of other people's happiness, co-creator of community, co-creator, etc., etc. Co-formators of the society you want to live in. That means that each of us has that enormous value and purpose. I heard my son said to me the other day, 90% of the French people in Gen Z now believe life is meaningless, and probably always will be. 50%, around 50% in England, less than 40% in America. I mean, it's heartbreaking. Here, when we think like this, this is the solution to that. Do you see what I mean? Is that for people to feel like that, they have what do you call it? They've become victims of the negative aspects of social media, which is that you just follow. You're just a follower. You're in the shadow of somebody else. What about being in the light of your own gifts? What about being in the light of all that you're creating around you? You know, the community that you're creating through wonderful gifts that you have is, it's a different way of living. That's why I say they're very closely linked. Social media, globalization, and individualism. Is if we can deal with those three issues, you've got the beginning of the way forward, the way for everybody, a way forward for everybody. Yeah, and we're going to see the best in everybody if we deal with that.
I love that, and I want to just as we're ending, somebody wrote that you need money in order to heal. Yeah. What do you say to that?
No, definitely. I'm not, probably, it's actually you as I did, come from very humble beginnings, began with nothing. First healing is, first of all, it's self-awareness. It's self-awareness. There are plenty of people that one can go to, locally, counsellors, therapists, etc. So many of them do it on a pro bono, but I still do. I do a number of people who I treat who are unemployed, etc. etc. Of course, if you're going to go to a top therapist in America, you're going to pay for that. But so many local I think that again begs this question about people locally with their gifts. Is, you know, for people to step forward is yeah.
But
Is,
I will tell you, as a person who's been around rich people and poor people, frankly, yeah, maybe you have money for therapy, but it's not helping. Because you have money for therapy doesn't mean that you're
yeah.
healing. Like, frankly, I don't know that that's true. I have, you know, had the fortune of my mother. She worked in travel growing up, so she took me to many countries around the world that were, you know, people had nothing to give, and they were the most generous human beings ever. So
Absolutely.
I did have those experiences, and I think that they really informed how I look at um, life now, how, you know, what things I value and put value on, and what things I want to instill in my children. And so I don't know that I believe that. I think that we can all make a difference. I think that we can all tap into our own, you know, finding, as you said, you need to be brave in order to find that strength inside yourself to evolve, to learn, to listen, to be curious and accepting. And if we can individually start just with the work that we need to do, we can start to spread that and come together. And I do believe that that makes change. And if at the very least it changes the energy of our everyday, that's a big deal, right?
Absolutely.
That
Yeah.
will, I feel like that will fight, you know, the forces of darkness that sort of we have to combat all the time. You know, it sounds crazy, but I do feel that. I do feel that. So
Absolutely.
anyway, well, I'm so happy that we did this, John. I really always appreciate hearing
Thank you.
from you and having these conversations, whatever they may be. I appreciate your, you know, you know, we didn't say in the beginning, but John works with so many amazing people around the world, and thought leaders and presidents and churches and mosques, and he does not discriminate in terms of where you know, who he works with, and so I think that shows so much in the light that you always bring to everything. So thank you very much for your time, and
Thanks.
maybe we'll do it again.
Yeah. Love
I
to.
would love that. Is there anything else that you want to add before we go?
Um, like yourself, I just hope it's sown a seed in and people. There is a way through, you know, and there are so many good people out there like ourselves, like Sasha and I, who want to find that way through. Join us and let us join you on that journey. Is and don't give it. Many out there who have suffered terrible things. Don't give up. Don't give up. Love is on the way. You're going to see it. You're going to see it more and more arriving and appearing in your lives. So yeah, hang in there, hang in there. Things are on the turn. Things are, yeah. Pushback is coming. We're going to see a lot of positive changes. So I hope that makes people feel, you know, gives people hope.
I think so. And you know what? We had an amazing, I just want to shout out to everyone that tuned in from all over the world. We've got Brazil and Germany and the UK and
Yeah.
just from everywhere. And thank you. That means so much. And I look forward to doing it again, but that means so much. And I hope that we brought a little newness to your day. I certainly got it. Thank you very much, John. Lots of love to you and your family. And thank you all for joining. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Lots of love.
Thank you. Bye.